F1 race car in VR. Hello there everyone and welcome to OpenFed Gaming. You're listening to the OpenFed. Today in Gran Turismo we are driving a 1988 MP4/4. That's a Formula One McLaren built race car powered by the Honda's RA168E 1.5 liter V6 turbo engine. We're driving in the world circuits at the World Touring Car 900 race, and we're driving it on the Trial Mountain circuit track. We're doing 10 laps. We started with a rolling start, and we're one of 20 cars. Now, the 10 laps are decent length laps, so it's going to take a little while to finish this race. However, we do not have to sit back and wait for the cars to thin out, as they already have. They're all over the track. The 10 laps is going to dictate to us that we're going to have to stop in for fuel somewhere along the line, because we can't do all 10 on one tank full. And we might even have to change our tires too. So we're going to have to try and race this as hard as we can, try to get as best a position as we can before we go in for fuel. We got to go in probably around at the end of lap 5 or 6, somewhere in there. And then we'll see if we need to change our tires or not. Now, I've driven the Super Formula cars, and they're apparently a little bit smaller and a little bit slower, if you could call it that. The F1 cars like this one here go a little faster, and it's really difficult to keep it going straight and then going through the corners here and still keep a good control of the vehicle. You do really have to pay attention and watch what you're doing, because as you well know, and I keep hammering down on, is that if you make a mistake, if you spin out, if you accidentally hit somebody on the rear end and you spin out, if anything happens and you flip your car, you're basically done. Now, if you spin off the track one way or another for whatever reason early in the race, you still got a good chance to bring her back on the track and be competitive. Later on, if it's close near the end, you don't want to make any mistakes, because it can pretty well cost you the race. So you don't do it. The best thing to do in these kinds of races, because they are so fast, the straight stretches are the best places to pass. The corners are not very advantageous to pass in because of the speed of the vehicles. So when you catch up to a guy like this yellow car here in front of me, the best thing to do is to get up close, stick with him, and wait for an opportunity to pass him. Corners, like I said, are not going to be the spot where you're going to want to do that. Now, I made a few mistakes in this race, and I debated on whether I should re-race it, but then I thought, no, people are going to make mistakes, and I'm still fairly new at this, and I make lots of them, but I'm learning. So I thought I'd leave my mistakes in here, and anybody that watches can see what I do wrong, and then maybe not do that themselves, and thus having a better race. Now, I am getting better at moving on the track from side to side and using the whole track. Still got a ways to learn there, but we're getting better. Sometimes we overshoot the corners a little bit, like that there. We could have let up a little bit and taken it a little bit tighter. And this one here, well, that was not too bad. So, we're learning as we go along. But this particular race is just absolutely awesome. I just love it. And there again, I say that about a lot of the races, but I really like this track. I've driven this track before in different vehicles, and I really like it. And I was always a little leery about driving the Super Formula or the F1 cars, and when I had the opportunity in this race to do it, I thought I'd jump at it. and give it a shot and see what happens. And you know, it actually, I was quite impressed. I really enjoyed it. It's not the best race. I mean, like I said, I made a few mistakes, but that's okay. You know, as long as you had fun, and fun I had, because it was very, very enjoyable to do. So here we're coming along here, and I believe that this is the end of our third lap. So we still got 7 laps to go. And that's okay, because we need the time to pass the last few vehicles on the track. Now, with our display turned off, we don't know how much fuel we have. We don't know how much our tires have been worn down. So we have to kind of guess at it. So like I said, you take the 10 laps and you cut it in half. And if you go in and at the end of 5 laps and you're still okay, then you know that the next 5 laps you're going to be okay too. Now, as your tires wear down, they also, when you go around the corners, will start to slip a little. And you can actually feel it. And when that happens, it's easier to spin out. So keep that in mind. As I already have problems at times with coming around a corner and then throttling up too early. And if you do that, you're not out of the corner yet. And if you already start putting the pedal down hard, you will spin out. You know, you're not going to be able to keep that flowing nicely around the corner. So you got to have a little bit of patience as you come around the corner. Go with the flow, and then just let it ride. You know, when you're flowing back and forth like that, it works much, much better. And you're not fighting the car, and you're not fighting the track. But I tend to drive a little faster when I see cars in front of me and I want to pass them. And I start cutting the corners a little bit tighter, I've noticed. And I try not to do that. But I want to get up to those cars and I want to get by them. So it pushes me to drive a little bit more erratic, which I'm trying to stop from doing. I'm trying to use my common sense and drive a little bit better. Drive a little cleaner. You know. So there we finished lap number 4. And I believe at the end of this lap, we're going to go in for some fuel. So we're going to try and stay with these guys. I don't think before we go to the pit stop that there's any place. Oh yeah, there's that place in the tunnel. We can pass these guys in the tunnel and get ahead of them. So that's what we'll look to do as we're coming around the corner here. But remember what I said. When you come around the corner, if you give it the throttle too soon, you're going to spin out, so be careful. Now, once you're in the straight section here, you can hammer down, just let her go. And you can scream by them, and they won't catch you. So here we're ripping down the full length of the straight stretch, coming to the corner, and we're going to zigzag through these corners and then into the pit stop for some fuel. Alright, doesn't look to be any cars close in front of us here. We are coming up around the corner here. Oh, no, there's nothing there. No, I think we're going to go for one more lap. Now you see, my mistake was that I should have stopped for fuel there, but I didn't. So I will have to pay the consequences if I run out now, because if you run out of fuel, your car will roll along, I think, at about 10 kilometers an hour until you get to the pit stop. That's not going to happen to us, but we averted disaster this time around. But never ever push it to that limit. That's like throttling around the corner powering up before you're through the tunnel. It's just not a wise thing to do. See, and here, Going too fast around the corners, I end up taking it too wide because I couldn't turn in time. And there again, something's wrong with the tires. They're spinning out and we're not keeping control. I'm wondering if those tires are worn down to the point where I need to replace them. So we're going to go in for some fuel the next stop. We got to see what's going on. We can't rely on the traction of the tires going around the corners to hold us on the road. We're not going to win this race. So we're catching up to this little group of 3 cars, trying to drive it clean so we don't lose control. As we're coming around the corner, pit stop entrance will be to the left. Always make sure that when you're racing, if you know you're going to take a pit, know where the entrance is. Right here. Okay, there we go. Now we can see that we're in 4th place and that there's 2 other cars in the pit stop with us. So they're not moving. There's only one guy that's moving. That's the number 1 car. As we're waiting for Opafet's car to make it over here to the pit crew. There we go. Now they can do their job. Rip the tires off, give me some new ones, and as you can see, my fuel tank on the bottom left-hand side was sitting at 0. So I was riding on fumes, which means that now I know I'm going to have enough fuel left for the rest of the race. Now I'm in 7th, back to 5th now. 4 cars in front of me I got to pass. 4 laps left to do it in. So we're going to kick it up a notch. We're going to push it a little, but we're still going to be careful around the corners. We want to win this race, and we don't know how far ahead those 4 cars are. So all we can do, just like the other races, like every one of them, just put your foot down and keep going. Go as hard as you can. See if you can catch up to somebody, and then when you do, try and rip by it. We're coming down through the tunnel. Long straight stretch is always a nice place to pass cars in. Boy, I tell you, once you're through this straight stretch, you don't have, there's one. You don't have far to go before this lap is done. They go by really quick when you're trying to catch up to somebody that you can't see on the track. But we caught up to this guy and we seen him, so once we get by him, we know that the most we can have in front of us, there's 2 of them right there. Okay, and we thought we had 3 in front of us, so that'll take care of 2 of them. Once we get by them, because we got another few laps to go yet. We're not done yet, which is good. We don't have to get too excited just yet. As we coming up behind this blue car, which I think we passed him once already before we went into the pit stop. And we're going to pass him again. That's okay. And there's a car way in the front there. He was just turning the corner. He might be car number 1, I believe. I'm not sure. I think car number 1 was a white race car, but I can't remember for sure. So we'll just keep going. Ooh, up to him awful quick all of a sudden. He slowed down a little bit through that one. It's okay. We're going to keep gripping here. No, can't take them on the outside. See, they're very, very difficult to pass. Because they zip away from you, they slow down around the corners, and then when you have an opportunity to pass, sometimes they block you. When they block you, you can't get around them. And on the straights, they can't keep up with you. The straights are their downfall. That's where we make our headway. As we're coming to the end here, I believe that's gotta be coming up to the end of lap number 8. There's 2 more laps to go, so this might not be car number 1. I don't believe it is. Okay. Lap number 8 coming to a close. this has been one fantastic race. I mean, the graphics on this track are awesome. The up and down and the back and forth on the track going through the hills. It looks great. It drives awesome. Oh, we almost lost control of the car there. Coming around the corner, I left the throttle on high a little bit too long and almost spun me around. I caught it just in time. Like I said, I make lots of mistakes, you know, and sometimes you want to correct those mistakes and fix them, but sometimes you're better off leaving them in as a learning tool. Not just for other people, but for yourself too. That way you can look at it again and go, yeah, I should have slowed down there, you know? The thing is, what it all boils down to is if you have the respect for the track and the car, then the car and the track will have the respect for you. And they will drive and run the way you're supposed to. Remember that. Now, as we're coming through here, this is lap number, which one was it now? Number 8, number 9. I think we got one more to go after this lap, and then we're finished. A long, long race, and that's the other thing. When you're racing 10 laps, sometimes you get a little tired when you're racing. I know I do, and then I tend to not pay as close of attention to detail, to the way I drive the track from side to side, and I start to cheat a little bit in cutting corners and stuff. And when you do that, that's when you run into problems. So we got to try and hold on and pay attention a little bit longer. Because we got one more lap to go before we finish the race. We still don't know if we're in number 1 or number 2 place in the race. So here we coming up to the last lap. It's been one fantastic race, boy, I tell you. If you like this race as much as I like racing it, boy, give us a thumbs up. Let me know what you think about it, if you have any comments on it. We're going to be putting up some more of these here high-speed, chaotic races in the near future, so if you don't want to miss any, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You know, as we're coming through the little tunnel here, and up around the corner, we're going to come up to that straight stretch pretty quick. We're taking the corners okay. We're doing all right. Coming through that straight stretch, we're going to let her go and waste the leftover little bit of fuel that we got to see if we can catch any. Oh, there is one car there in front of us. I do believe he would be number 1. Unless, of course, we pass him. We will. Which I think we're going to do right here. Yeah, we got him, and we're in the front of the race. That took all 10 laps. Now remember that. That took all 10 laps at high-speed racing to catch him. So, you know, sometimes you can win the race in the first lap, and sometimes it takes all 10 of them. But, like I keep saying, this was a fantastic race. I really, really enjoyed this one, and I hope you did too. Hope to see you back here again real soon at OpaFed Gaming. You have yourself a great rest of your day. You've been racing with the OpaFed.